Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, your go-to podcast for all things green and growing. I'm Ben, your allotment guide, and here to help you cultivate your garden and your passion for plants. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Each episode will dig into tips, tricks and techniques to make your garden and allotment thrive. From planting, sowing and growing, we will share all the tips and advice. We will also have regular episodes talking about what we have been up to on the allotment. So sit back, grab a brew and enjoy today's episode. Hey everyone and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for another brand new episode. We're halfway through the week already. Wow, where is this week going? Well, today's podcast episode, we're going to talk about all the jobs which you can do in the rain. Yes, there's plenty of jobs that you can do in the rain or in the snow if it's snowing. We should have done this podcast for the weekend when it absolutely bounced it down. But we're here with a podcast for you to give you some ideas and some inspirational things to do while you can do in the garden when it is absolutely chucking it down, and during those winter months of cold weather, horrible weather, when you don't want to actually spend time in the allotment. So what jobs can we do during the wet weather? So we're going to talk about these and hopefully give you some ideas. So first up is planning and organising. Now, I do talk about these a lot in some of my podcasts, and one idea is to review your garden journal. If you've not started a garden journal, have a look now on Amazon or on Etsy, different websites, and see about buying a garden journal. It's a good idea to make notes of when you start your seeds, when you've harvested them, where you've planted them, etc. like that. And then you can look back and see what worked well and what didn't work well. Like, I take lots of photos, obviously, to share with you all on social media. So I have a journal in photos as well as in writing things down and seeing how well things are doing. Next up is plan your crop rotation. Now, obviously, you need to keep your crops rotated because growing things in the same place every year, they won't grow as well because they take all the nutrition from the ground and you need to try them in a different place. Or if there's some disease still in that soil from that plant, it will come back and get on that plant and not do as well that year as well. Next up is make a seed list. Decide what seeds you want to buy for the next growing season. Now, this is one job that I need to do this week and start writing down the ideas of things that I want to try and grow next year. And if we're able to grow them, because obviously I'm only working 9 to 5 this now, and I only get weekends free to go down on the allotment. So I need to see about things that are feasible and that will grow with not as much help from me, and just things that'll just grow by themselves and hopefully do well and still get produce on them. So have a look at them seed lists and get writing them. And yeah, I'm going to think about starting some chilies and peppers off next month and possibly some aubergines. So stay tuned for them and stay tuned for the videos as I share what I'm getting up to and what I'm getting growing. Sketch your garden layout plan. Now, plan your garden layout for next year. Plan what you want to grow, where and how you're going to grow it, and if you're going to change anything with your beds or your paths or any new features that you want to add. So make a sketch of your garden and decide where you're going to be planting stuff. Next up, we're going to be talking about maintenance tasks that need a rainy day. Now, rain does help with things. If you don't think that rain helps, it does. Obviously, it helps with watering, but it can also help with jobs in the garden. And one of the main jobs it can help with is obviously weeding. Weeds pull out much more easier when the soil is damp. Use this opportunity to clear invasive plants, especially bindweed, my nemesis. But it keeps me busy, keeps me occupied, and keeps me fit and getting dug in. If we didn't have no weeds, we wouldn't have no work to do on the garden, and we wouldn't be keeping in good shape. Next up is planting perennials and shrubs. The moist soil reduces transplant shock for new plants. So if you're wanting to plant perennials and shrubs, it's ideal to do it when the ground is wet. Compost maintenance. Turn your compost pile or add materials to keep it balanced and aerated. Rain can help the pile keep moist. So the rain can help keep the pile moist. So rain helps your compost heaps. So keep turning it and keep it rotting down. So what jobs can we do undercover when it's raining? So obviously I've got a greenhouse, I've got a polytunnel. So it's an ideal time to do jobs in the garden. And that is one of the reasons why I try to get my allotment as cleared as fast as possible in October, November, so that I can do all the jobs in the greenhouse, in the polytunnel, in the shed when it is nasty, horrible weather, which is usually around December time. It's never usually nice in December. It's usually rainy and horrible like in January, February. So yeah, that is the perfect time to do all the jobs which need doing in the shed and the greenhouse. And that can be obviously building new benches, painting things up, washing those plant pots. Yes, you have to wash them. Don't take them home and put them in your dishwasher and get told off. But yeah, you have to wash your plant pots because there's diseases around, there's bugs, there's pests, etc. Give them a good clean and wash them in some nice soapy water and get them all clean and fresh for next year. Any tool maintenance, clean your tools down, sharpen blades, oil any moving parts and organise them in your shed, hang them up, make them look tidy and get them all ready for next year. Next up is potting bench projects. Sow seeds in trays or repot plants that need larger containers. Now, obviously, in my previous episodes, I talked about all the plants that you can sow this month, and we're going to be starting to sow our winter onions now. So that is one job that you can actually get started now, ready for next year. Get them growing and then get them planted out in the garden in March time. Next up is jobs which you can do in the house while it's absolutely raining. Yes, you can still do gardening jobs while you're in the house. Obviously not messy jobs because you'll get told off if you make a mess. But there's certain jobs that you can do in the house. And obviously you can care for your house plants if you're growing any house plants in your garden. Dust the leaves, prune them and water them as needed. I've got a house plant in my new house and I've not watered it yet. I need to water it. That reminds me. But I'm hoping to get some more plants in my house because obviously more plants in the house makes a healthy you. So I need to get some more plants for my house. So if anybody's got any ideas of decent plants what I can grow in my house, let me know. Start a herb garden. Plant herbs in pots to keep on your windowsill for easy access. And obviously growing herbs on your windowsill in the winter months, they'll can continue growing because they'll get the light, they'll get the warmth, and yeah, you can grow your herbs through the winter months in the house. Create your garden labels. Now, we talked about this in my last podcast. My biggest failure is not making plant labels. So why not get saving those milk cartons, trim them down into strips and get making your garden labels ready for next year. So yeah, there's plenty of jobs that you can actually do in your garden in the winter period and things to keep you busy, keep you occupied. And I know a lot of people don't like going outside in the cold and the wet weather. So use it as an opportunity to go in your shed or in your greenhouse and get them jobs done and hopefully get prepared ready for next year and hopefully have a successful year. We are going to try and have the most successful year down at my allotment next year. Even though I'm only down there 2 days a week, I'm going to try and prove to you all that you can actually do an allotment in 2 days and still get a fantastic crop from your gardens. So make sure you stay tuned for all my videos next year on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And if you're not following me on this podcast, please do give me a follow and click that bell so you get notified when new podcasts come up. I'd love to get to 1,000 followers on Spotify. So if you're not following me on Spotify, just search for Gardening with Ben. give me a follow and click that bell and you'll get notified when new podcasts come up every Sunday. Thank you for joining me on tomorrow's episode of Gardening with Ben. I hope you have found some useful tips and inspiration for your own gardening and allotment journey. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to leave a review and share the podcast with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Your support helps us grow this community and continue bringing you great content. You can also follow us on social media on every platform called Gardening with Ben for daily gardening tips and updates. Happy gardening, and until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben.